Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Eimear McKeown. Today's top stories. Passengers who sat near a woman who later tested positive for COVID-19 have been told to self-isolate. The fourth and final person on trial in the Patricia O'Connor murder case has been found guilty. The CEO of Waterford Council says they'll be evicting people for not paying rent. And in sport, delegates will select John Horan's successor as GAA president of at the association's annual congress this evening. Passengers who sat near a woman who later tested positive for COVID-19 have been told to self-isolate. The woman arrived into Dublin Airport from Italy and then travelled to Northern Ireland. Casey O'Riordan reports.
The HSE has contacted everyone that was on the same flight as this individual. Dr John Cudahy says those sitting within 2 rows of the woman have been given specific advice.
Those people self-isolate at home and they have active monitoring on a daily basis by public health just to make sure that they haven't developed symptoms.
All other passengers have been notified and given more general advice. The HSE says it will not be introducing any further measures despite the confirmation of the first case on the island of Ireland. Chief Medical Officer Dr Tony Whelan says they definitely will not be screening people at Dublin Airport.
It simply doesn't work, it's not effective and it would be a waste of resources.
Health Minister Simon Harris is urging the public not to believe rumours on social media.
Last night on Twitter we saw a rumour and a video that a certain hotel was in lockdown. Proves not to be true.
Casey O'Riordan at the Department of Health.
The fourth and final person on trial in the Patricia O'Connor murder case has been found guilty of impeding the apprehension or prosecution of her killer. Keith Johnston of Avonbeg Gardens, Tala, Dublin 24, was found to have helped Kieran Green by buying various tools used to conceal her body. Our courts correspondent Frank Rainey has this report, which some listeners may find distressing.
The final verdict came in this morning after 12 hours of jury deliberations. On Tuesday, Kieran Green was found guilty of murdering 61-year-old grandmother Patricia O'Connor at the home they shared at Mountain View Park, Rathfarnham in Dublin in May 2017. Her remains were found scattered across 9 locations up the Wicklow and Dublin mountains. Her daughter Louise and granddaughter Stephanie were convicted earlier this week for impeding Green's apprehension or prosecution. Stephanie's father, Keith Johnston, was found guilty of the same charge today. He assisted Green by helping him to buy hacksaws, axes and other tools, which were then used to dismember the body and conceal her remains. In a written statement, Ms O'Connor's brothers and sisters described her as kind, caring and loving, and said it was hard to look at the people who took her for their own selfish reasons. Sentence hearings are due to take place on April 20th. Frank Rainey at the Central Criminal Court.
The Unite Union are meeting with HSE representatives at the moment to discuss the strike by cleaning staff at University Hospital Waterford. Pickets have been in place since Tuesday in a row over changes to their working conditions without consultation. Lengthy talks with Unite and employers' momentum support ended without resolution early yesterday morning. Unite rep Bernie Power says the disruption to the hospital hasn't been caused by the cleaners.
As far as I'm concerned, they did not do their homework right when they brought this company in here. They brought the company in and made changes straight away. That should have been looked at immediately. When we started balloting for strike action last October, which we cancelled, then the hospital should have stepped up their game. They should not have left to get this far. And as far as I'm concerned, we're here and we get our rights.
The CEO of Waterford Council says if you want a house at a subsidised rate, then you're going to have to pay. Michael Walsh made the remarks during a discussion about the audit of the local authority for 2018. It found what one councillor described as several red flags. The collection rate for rents was 78% that year. Michael Walsh says they will be evicting people for not paying rent.
We've actually moved towards evicting people for non-payment of rent at the moment. We've had maybe 3 or 4 in the last couple of years, and we are going to sort the target about 10 a year in that territory that we will be evicting. There's an irony in that context because the minute we do so, we still have a housing obligation to them, but we won't be doing it in the context of a council house if they are evicted for non-payment of rents.
Meanwhile, the CEO of Waterford Council says they're engaging with the organisers of the Day Tripper Festival to get back a €40,000 loan. It emerged in 2018 in the 2018 audit that the local authority advanced a loan to the music festival. It was flagged by the auditor and led to questions to Michael Walsh from Fianna Fáil's Eddie Mulligan.
What is the music event that 40,000 was advanced to and that an invoice has been erased?
The music event was Day Tripper. Obviously we were anxious to encourage that type of activity in the city, so we worked in partnership in the first year or two. We did advance some money, is the way I'd put it. The auditor is of the view that we should seek to recover that. There was no money made on the events. In fact, they ran it on the overall at probably a significant loss. I'm not sure that it's recoverable or whether it's worth the effort of recovery.
A meeting of the National Emergency Coordination Group is underway to prepare the country for Storm Jorge. Waterford is under a status yellow rainfall warning. The warning for Munster came into effect at midnight and is in place until midnight tomorrow. 20 to 30 millimetres of rain is expected to fall. Meanwhile, a status yellow wind warning comes into effect from 9 a.m. tomorrow. Status orange wind warnings are in place tomorrow for counties in the west. Met Éireann's Elizabeth Coleman says the rain raises the risk of flooding in parts of the country.
So we do have a rainfall warning in effect for today and through tomorrow. And although rainfall amounts are not going to be that high, the reason why we have the warning out is because of existing flooding across the country. So the additional rain that we're going to see through the day today and overnight tonight will compound the flooding issues in those areas.
A 50-year-old man has appeared before Drogheda District Court charged in connection with the murder of Cian Mulready Woods. Gerard McKenna of Rathmullen Park, Drogheda, County Louth, has been charged with impeding the apprehension or prosecution of another person in relation to the 17-year-old's death. From Drogheda District Court, Shane Beattie reports.
Wearing a dark jacket, tracksuit bottoms and flip-flops, 50-year-old Gerard McKenna of Rathmullen Park, Drogheda, made a brief court appearance. He's charged with impeding the apprehension or prosecution of another person in relation to the murder of Cian Mulready Woods, whose partial remains were discovered at Dublin locations last month. The court heard Gerard McKenna was rearrested at Drogheda Garda Station at 8:20 last night and replied "no thanks no" when charged. Judge Aaron McKiernan remanded him in custody to appear in court in Cloverhill next Thursday and directed he receive necessary medical treatment. No bail application was made. The judge accepted a Garda request for 48 hours notice of any application. Shane Beattie, Drogheda.
It's 40 years to the day since U2 played at WRTC, which is now Waterford Institute of Technology. The band had only released one record at the time, but the gig, which took place in the canteen, sold out with 400 people in attendance. U2 charged £300 for the gig and requested sandwiches, beer and minerals to be provided in the dressing room. Owen Renane booked the band to play in Waterford. He spoke to Ollie and Mary on the Big Breakfast Blad this morning.
I got to interview them for WLR at that time when it was in its pirate phase, and they were like every other young kid in a band. They were a wee bit on the presumptuous side. Bono was at that stage already had a large personality.
We're going to take over the world, as they kind of did.
Yeah, that's it. They had no limit to their ambition, and clearly they went on and went on.
WLR Sport.
With thanks to the Waterford Viking Marathon. Register now at waterfordvikingmarathon.com.
And a very good afternoon, I'm Gavin, Whelan. Starting with Camogie and Galtier, 60 minutes away from their first All-Ireland title as they go up against St Rynagh's of Offaly in Sunday's intermediate showdown at Croke Park. The Blue and Navy lost to Clonduff by 10 points to 9 last year in freezing conditions. Goalkeeper Ciara Jackman says they won't be fazed by the venue this time round.
Last year we went up viewing the stadium. The week before we got to see the museum, whereas now we're just accustomed to it. We're just taking it in our stride. We know what to expect. We know what the way the dressing room is, the way there's a ball alley, the AstroTurf where we'll do our warm up and that. So we're just taking it all in our stride at the minute.
And throw in for that one is at 1:30 in Croker on Sunday. We'll have updates here in WLR across the afternoon. An extensive preview on the All-Ireland Intermediate Camogie final with Tomas on the GA show, Lorna Porca, this evening. So be sure to join him from 6, just after 6 o'clock this evening. Meanwhile, Waterford and Tipperary will lock horns in the 4th round of the Alliance Hurling League, 5th round even of the Alliance Hurling League on Sunday afternoon. Two former teammates, Liam Cahill and Liam Sheedy, will come face to face on the sideline. The Waterford boss says Sunday represents another opportunity to look at more players. Waterford go into this one with 3 wins from 3.
Yeah, it does. There's a lot of players within our panel here training really well, and I suppose now having had a bit of luck on Sunday to get over the line, it puts us in a position where it might be that little bit easier to cast the net a little bit wider to allow players to play, or to show us what they're capable of. So without maybe having to go for some more, there may be more established players. So definitely it's an opportunity on Sunday for myself and the lads to really look at trying to maybe unearth one or two more guys, without a doubt.
Throw-in is at 2 at Semple Stadium. WLR will broadcast the game live with commentary team Kieran O'Connor and Owen Murphy, thanks to George Corbett's Skoda. Meanwhile, tickets are still available for one of the best GA coaching workshops to be ran this year. It's the South East Coaching Workshop 2020, which takes centre stage in the WIT Arena, Carriganore, tomorrow. Registration is from 9 a.m. Daisha Ogue Games manager Owen Burnock told WLR Sport that tickets are still available ahead of the event.
Yeah, Gavin, the online booking has now finished, but if people still want to come to the event, we will be taking bookings and registrations tomorrow out in Carriganore. So we're starting at 9:45, but we're actually opening the registration desk from 9 a.m. So if somebody wanted to come along or something, we're able to come along tomorrow morning, want to come along, we absolutely they'd be more than welcome to come along. We'll be taking registrations, as I said, from 9 o'clock in the arena.
And we wish all involved the very best of luck. A fantastic lineup tomorrow in soccer. Norwich could really do with a win when they host Leicester City cross channel in the Premier League tonight. The top flight's bottom team are 7 points from safety with 11 games of the season remaining. The visitors to Carrow Road are up to third. 6 points clear of fourth place Chelsea. Closer to home, last year's top two, Loughorns in the SSE Electricity League Premier Division this evening. Reigning champions Dundalk make the trip to Tallaght Stadium to face FAI Cup winners Shamrock Rovers. Shelbourne host St Pat's in the Dublin Derby. Derry City take on Bows. That's at the Ryan McBride Brandywell, and Finn Harps go to Cork City. Waterford head to Sligo tomorrow afternoon. That game though is being closely monitored at the moment because of the status orange weather warning for the northwest. And in just reverting back to Gaelic Games, delegates will select John Horan's successor as GA president at the association's annual congress this evening. Jim Bulger, Jarlath Burns, Larry McCarthy, Jerry O'Sullivan and Mick Rock are all in the running ahead of the vote at Croker. The winner will become the 40th president of the GA and assume office next year. Finally to racing, 10-time Grade 1 winner Undisako has been retired following a ligament injury. The Willie Mullins trained 12-year-old enjoyed victories in the Arkle Chase and Ryanair Chase at the Cheltenham Festival during a glittering career. He also landed 2 champion chases at Punchestown and was a Tingle Creek Chase winner at Sandown. Sports news on WLR thanks to WaterfordVikingMarathon.com.